I made a video recently talking about how social workers don't get bonuses, and it got a bit of attention. Some people in my comments were agreeing with me, some were disagreeing with me. I was trying to work out why it bothers me so much when people say social workers do get bonuses, because I don't particularly like the social services system. I don't really like it at all. In the space of 2 years, at one point I had 9 social workers, and only one of them did I actually think was a decent person. She was a really nice woman, but she was the only one out of 9. So I was thinking, why does it bother me when people say about the bonuses? Because at the end of the day, it's usually followed by, or starting with, social services are corrupt because social workers get paid bonuses. And I was trying to think, why does that bother me so much that people are saying that? Because at the end of the day, we all agree that social services aren't very good. Why do I care if people are spreading that misinformation when the goal is the same, to get people to not like social services? And I realised the reason it bothers me so much is saying that social workers take children for bonuses takes away from the real issues of why social services take children. Because to put this bluntly, some children should be taken. Half the parents who say their children got taken away for no reason, no, they did. Like, they'll say their child got taken away for no reason, but don't mention the time they beat them. Literally heard a parent say that once. I don't understand why they took my child. I only beat my child once. No big deal, it was only once. Yeah, you're not getting your child back anytime soon with that attitude. But anyway, so that's the fact. Some children should be taken. But a lot of the time, if a child is taken when they shouldn't be, what it really is the parent needed support and social services didn't give them any support. And as a parent myself, we all need support. Doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter your circumstances, all parents need support, and some need more support than others. I knew a girl who, she was in care, she had a child while she was in care, she then went to live independently. She ended up in a relationship with a violent man. The reason she ended up in a relationship with a violent man is because she was raised to believe that abuse and violence can coexist with love. It was all she ever knew. I quite clearly understand that a man who's hitting me does not love me. But if it's all you've ever known, abuse and love coexisting, if that's all you've ever known, you will believe a man hitting you still loves you. He was also the only person in her life. She didn't have a lot of friends because she used to move house a lot. She didn't have her family around because she grew up in care and her family were not good people. And she had a 3-year-old who was exposed to all this violence, so social services took the child into foster care. I agree with that, because even though I have a lot of sympathy for this girl that she's ended up in a violent relationship, at the end of the day, it is about the child. So they took the child into care, rightfully so. What social services didn't do, though, was then give her support in leaving this man. They could have offered to move her out of the borough, which she might not have done because, like I said, this man was the only person in her life. To leave him, she'd be leaving, well, everything. He was all she really had, other than her child. But your child isn't gonna, a 3-year-old, they can't really show you, like, love, if that makes sense. Like, yes, they can cuddle you and kiss you and tell you they love you, but it's not the same. Does that make sense? So they could have offered to help her move. I think they could have signposted her to services for victims of domestic violence, even though I don't think she viewed herself as a victim. Could have helped her get therapy. There's a lot. Those are just a few options. If they were worried that she wouldn't have friends if they moved her to a new area, social services could have supported her in making friends and going to groups, but of course they don't have time, or they don't want to find the time. Anyway, long story short, the child got adopted. I agree that child should have been taken, but if you're not going to support the mum, and that's an extreme example, sometimes it's as simple, like, a lot of the main reason why children get taken into care is because of neglect, but that's really broad, and a lot of it is linked to poverty as well. If we support parents more, their children are less likely to be taken away. Or when we do take the child away, because we need to, I don't know why I'm saying we, because I'm not a social worker, but when a child is taken away, putting support in place so that the parent can get the child back, I sometimes feel like there's not enough of that. The other problem is social workers exaggerate and outright lie in reports. Not all of them, not all social workers do this, but how I know it happens is I've seen my own foster care records. When I was 16, one of my social workers asked me if I'd ever smoked weed. I said yes a handful of times when I was 14, because I did. When I was 14, I tried weed 4 or 5 times, hated it, haven't touched it since. I'm 30 next month. In my foster care records, it says I'm a cannabis user, because I confided in that social worker, because I answered her question. Rather than her writing, Slaney said, yes, she tried it 4 times and didn't like it, she just wrote Slaney's a cannabis user. Which you could say, well, what's the big deal? Because you know you're not. Except when I had my child at 17 and social services were involved, because I was still in foster care, so I still had a social worker, and they read, oh, you're a cannabis user and you've just had a child. Yeah, it doesn't look good. And I was lucky in that when I said to the social worker, but I don't, she believed me. So it was never an issue. But for some parents, that would be an issue. especially if we're exaggerating or lying about bigger things. In my foster care records, it says I stabbed my own mum. I can go into that another day. I've never stabbed anybody. So according to my records, I'm a cannabis using mum stabber. Doesn't look good. That is why I don't like people saying social workers only take kids for bonuses, because actually are wrong reasons why social workers take children. But if we're too busy talking about the bonuses, things that aren't facts, we're not focusing on the facts. But anyway, that's my take.